But I asked the question, how many of you out there are legitimately undecided? And we got several callers who are listening to us right now that say they are undecided in how they're going to vote in the 2024 election. So I appreciate them calling in. 800-282-2882 if you also are undecided. I would just genuinely be interested in what your thought processes are. Stephanie in Indiana, you say you are undecided. How have you voted in the past, and what has you undecided right now?
I truly am undecided. I have voted primarily Democratic, I would say, in the last 10 years. Before that, I would say more Republican. I truly am torn. I like Trump's policy on crime, the border, the economy, but I like Harris's views on abortion, insurance, particularly keeping the Affordable Care Act and continuing support of Ukraine.
Okay, so I'm fascinated by this. What do you think will end up being the element or elements of the issues that you just laid out that ends up making your decision? Will you walk in on the voting booth uncertain of how you're going to vote? How do you foresee yourself making a decision over the next 6 weeks?
I truly think that it's going to be not until I go into the voting booth. I would say the one issue I'm most concerned about that's just happened in the last week or two to me is I'm 62, almost 63. I'm going to be losing my job. I found out at the end of the year.
Not sorry to hear that.
I'm financially fine, but I need insurance. So I'm going to need to be able to go to the marketplace to the Affordable Care Act. And the idea that Trump has vowed to get rid of that and could do that fairly quickly since he only has 4 years to be able to do that petrifies me, I've got to be honest. If it weren't for that, I think I'd lean more towards Trump.
Sure. Stephanie, can I ask, what would you say is your most, on this list, you've laid out a bunch of things, and those are all important issues. What is the number one if you had to pick one? If you had to rank, give us a priority. Is it the healthcare issue?
I would say that's become a big one, probably the number one issue in the last 2 weeks for me, just because I have 2 years before I'm eligible for Medicare. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, before I just found out that my job was ending, I would say the economy was probably
Can I ask
one.
you? Does the issue and thank you for calling in and laying this out for us. I think this is really interesting to get into the mindset of somebody who's undecided. And you have two guys here with very heavy opinions. There's no doubt about that. So I'm curious to see hear from folks like you. But on the border issue, I mean, with let's call it 10 million. I mean, it might be a little more, might be a little less in the last 4 years. Does the issue of the open border weigh in on your thinking, or are you just not that doesn't affect you think one way or the other? I'm just curious.
The border issue definitely worries me. I mean, I've heard the stories, the crime, what different communities and things like that are dealing with, and I'm just appalled by that. But I would say that's probably second to the economy for me. I just think that prices are out of control, gas, when you go to the supermarket, all of that, especially with me, going to be on a fixed kind of income now that I'm going to have to take Social Security early.
Okay, so we're rooting for you to be able to continue to have that job, find a new job. Let me ask you this on your way out, Stephanie. You said, I think in the last 10 years or so, you've tended to vote Democrat. Did you vote for Biden in 20? Would you have been more or less likely to vote Biden if he were the nominee instead of Kamala in 24?
Yeah, I definitely would not have voted for Biden.
But you did vote for him in 20?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did.
Interesting. Stephanie, thank you so much for the call. Good luck to you, and we appreciate you laying out your thinking for us. I mean, look, I'm Clay. I know some people might be saying, "Whoa, hammer. If someone is already not, you're not going to shove them at the last second to vote one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not on to us. People can make their own decisions. We make the case here for what we think is true and best every day. Anyone who listens to the show knows that. I take it as something of a compliment that Undecided and even some Democrat voters listening to the show. I mean, it's not TV, so they're not doing it just for our great hair, which some people say is not quite Malougin-esque. And I'm just going to throw this out there. That is a party foul. That's not true.
I love just kind of going into the mindset because I think most of you out there have made up your mind. And I bet if you're sitting around talking with your friends or family, you're like, who are the people that haven't made up their minds yet? Well, you just heard from one, Stephanie. Tyra is up next in Bakersfield, California. Tyra, how have you voted in the past, and what is out there still for you to determine now such that you are still an undecided voter?
At 18, I registered as an independent. I have voted kind of all over the board. I do lean more conservative when it comes to issue-based voting on the state's perspective. If it costs a penny, I vote against it. I kind of exist in two different communities, and what's troubling about this particular election is the fear-mongering on either side. There's no conversation welcome for people like myself that appreciate parts of both platforms. Can
I ask you, Tyra? I'm curious. I don't want to interrupt you, but I did want to just get to this. We make the case here a lot about the Biden Kamala Harris line is Trump is a unique threat, and the Republic, fascism, all that. So clearly, we think that there's fear mongering from that side. Trump will say that he thinks Kamala will be terrible and bad for the economy and stuff like that. What is the fear mongering that you hear on the right that is in any way in your mind balanced by what you're hearing from the Democrats and the left? I'm curious.
To be frank with you, at this juncture, I do not believe that it is any longer balanced simply because Kamala is not really taking a stance on much, which if anyone's losing me at this point, it is her because I don't feel respected as a voter if you can't speak to me about an official platform. I don't want to hear from representatives.
It's condescending. You're picking up on that, right? I mean, that's what I've been saying, Tyra. There's a condescension from the campaign.
How did you vote? I'm just curious, Tyra. In 16 and 20, you talked about the fact that you voted different directions. How did you vote in 16 and 20?
I went Obama-Trump.
So you went Obama 12, Trump 16. What about 2020 in the most recent Biden-Trump decision?
20, I voted Biden.
Okay. Thank you for the call.
Thank you so much, Tyra. Good luck to you. Appreciate you listening, and hopefully... Look, we're hoping the show persuades any callers as much as they can be persuaded one way or the other. But when they call in, we're not going to, we promise we're not haranguing anybody for how could you not have decided? No, we want undecided voters. Dude, if we can have 1 million Democrats listen to the show every day, I would say great, because I feel like over time they would become independents, and over time they would become right-leaning. So we want everyone to listen to the show that we're doing. Rob, also an undecided voter, first of the gentlemen undecided voters. What's up, Rob?
Rob, what state are you in?
I'm in Florida.
Okay, so you're in Florida where Buck and I are doing the show right now. So how have you voted in the past? I'll start with that. And what has you undecided so far? What are you looking for to seal the deal, so to speak, over the next 6 weeks?
2016, I had to vote for Trump only because he seemed like the lesser of the evils. I liked what he did when he was in office. In 2020, I voted for him again. I am completely undecided only because I fear the shenanigans that the Democrats are going to pull if he gets into office are just going to keep him from getting anything done on his agenda.
Doesn't that kind of give them almost a heckler's veto, though? Do you know what I mean? If you're worried about Trump being in office because they're going to fight so dirty, isn't it more important then to keep them out of office because you know what their approach to governance is? Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm just, again, the lawsuits, the frivolous lawsuits, in addition to just the shenanigans. I worked at the post office until 2021, and during the 2020 election, I saw so many shenanigans because of the union that supported the Democrats, and I mean shenanigans with ballots, et cetera. I worry that they don't play fair in any arena.
Well, wouldn't that? I mean, I appreciate the call, but to me, what you're saying would encourage me to
That's
be
what I'm
more
saying.
likely to vote for Trump as opposed to what would you vote for Kamala?
I'm leaning towards voting for Trump, but if Kamala gets into office, I think as long as we hold the House and the Senate, that we'll be able to. The conservatives will be able to keep her in check.
Look, I appreciate you calling in, and thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering, is he still with us? Were you a big DeSantis fan?
I'm a
Were you a
huge
big
DeSantis fan. That's why I moved from Wisconsin down here.
I had a feeling. Yeah. Is there any part of you that is just kind of upset that DeSantis is not the nominee? Is that because I haven't come across that before down here in Florida, but I had a feeling there might be some of that.
I think DeSantis is not quite ready yet. He's still got
Okay.
some pretty outlandish views, in my opinion, on like global politics. But no, I think he'll be ready in the future.
All right. Well, do you want to take one more? Thank you so much for calling in, Rob. You want to take Russell? And then
Yeah,
we'll get
let's
to the
do
break?
Russell in College Station. That's Texas A&M, Aggie Land. Russell, you're undecided. I always start here with undecided voters. How have you voted in the past? How did you vote in 20, for instance?
Well, here's what I've seen, because I've been a student on Rush and through YouTube studying things. And one of the questions that pops up is, with Trump having everything going for him, how did he lose to Biden? And then,
Well, I think COVID was certainly not going for him.
Hold on.
Sure. Go ahead.
When Hillary was against Trump, how in the world did Trump win? And with both of those, the answer is, I can't vote for this person.
Oh, so you're saying Hillary was the less likable person in 16. Trump to you was the less likable person in 20, meaning people just decided against them more than they voted for someone. So who is to you more likable and less likable in Kamala versus Trump?
If you stand back and take a hard vote, neither are likable. Trump got more stuff done. Kamala is unknown, and the party's a disaster right now, but it is with Trump too.
I will tell you this, Russell. I appreciate you calling in. I would place a large bet, a stake bet, that if we could get Russell to hang out with Kamala for an hour, or half an hour, and hang out with Trump for half an hour, not only would he find Trump more likable than Kamala, he would think that Trump is great. He'd think that Trump's a lot of fun. I'm just saying.
I hope you guys have enjoyed. I would love to, over the next 42 days, occasionally take calls from people who are truly undecided, because that's one of the things that I spend the most amount of time talking with people. Say, like, how in the world does anybody has not made their mind up yet?
I want to admit this. One area where Trump where I should say the Republicans and the sort of Trump candidates had real weakness in 2022 and in 2018, both of the midterms, healthcare policy. Doesn't get talked about. It's not big in the MAGA world, but healthcare policy is actually something that people get very concerned about, and there should be more clarity from the Trump campaign on what do they want to do with healthcare coming to office. By the way, one thing I think they need to have is tort reform, which the lawyers will fight against kicking and screaming, which means it's a good idea. Absolutely essential. Would bring down everyone's healthcare costs. It's completely out of control. It means you can't even get obstetrics care in some states now. It's crazy. So
not only that, I mean, how about the fact that you never have any idea what anything costs? That's the thing that comes. I had 3 kids.
Yeah, the transparency.
I actually walked in and I said, "Hey, how much is it going to cost to have a baby here?" They were like, "Well, we don't know." How can you not tell me when we're touring hospitals? How is price not a part of that discussion? Our healthcare system is just broken on so many different levels, but one of them is when you can choose elective surgery, you can't even figure out what the price is going to be. And look, out there, maybe you want to try to avoid having the need for healthcare. One way you can do that is certainly by being as healthy as you can possibly be. And one thing that men need to be healthy is testosterone. We played yesterday for you White Dudes for Kamala from CNN. I guarantee you, if that guy was tested for testosterone levels,
NPR editorial level, I'm telling you.
yeah, super, super low. There was not a lot of testosterone in white dudes for Kamala. And look, your body naturally produces testosterone, but as you age, the amount of testosterone you produce diminishes. And everybody out there has a lot less testosterone in their bodies than our dads, our granddads, our great-granddads did. And that's why you should check out Chalk. It's all natural. You take it for 3 months. It will increase your testosterone levels by 20%. They also have a female vitality stack, which can help a lot with women. But you can go check it out for yourself. CHOQ.com. My name, Clay. Big time discount on any subscription for life. You can cancel anytime. You can call or text 50-CHALK3000. Say Clay and Buck sent me. That's 50-CHOQ3000. Chalk's a U.S.-based customer service team working today to assist you right now. 50-CHOQ3000. Do it today.